Are we live?
Yes, sir.
All right, we'll call this meeting of the Annapolis Ethics Commission to order. The time is 5:02 on March 29th. Our attendees are myself, Jim Dolezal, Kevin Chase, Vice Chairman, Vincent Bolden, a member, Eugene Townsend, member, and we have a guest, Tricia Hopkins, HR. Are you the HR department head? Oh, you're muted.
I am the city's HR manager, human resources manager.
Yes, thank you. We'll modify our agenda. Well, no, we won't have to. I was going to modify it because you weren't going to be with us. But first of all, I wanted to do a summary of recent activities. And as you all know, I did an annual report in January. But activities since then, in February, we had a case that we dismissed, and that was a confidential case. I won't mention who it was, but it was a relative to the re-election campaign of the mayor. And on March 2nd, we had another question, and that was regarding the appropriateness of an elected official placing a call from their office to someone at the U.S. Naval Academy during business hours. And the person at the Naval Academy didn't feel this was appropriate for an elected official to be campaigning from their office in the city. It was later revealed that the person's record of the telephone call, it was not placed from the city, and the lady therefore withdrew her request for review. So we did not have to take any action. On the 3rd of March, got an inquiry requiring training on the Open Meetings Act. And I think I resolved that because Kevin had taken that training within the last 2 years. And the city clerk required at least one member of every commission and board to be trained on the Open Meetings Act. So we're good that way. And Kevin, thank you for your expertise on the Open Meetings Act.
You're welcome.
On the 22nd of March, just a week ago, we had an inquiry regarding the ward boundary, Annapolis Ward Boundary and Redistricting Commission, and it was it was being formed by resolution, and one of the members was thought to be the wife of an alderman. And as it turned out, that resolution was withdrawn on procedural grounds by the city attorney. And we therefore did not have any further investigation concerning the issue. It turned out the alderman's alleged wife was not his wife, but was his sister. And the likelihood is that she'll be appointed whenever they do form the commission. Apparently, commissions can only be formed by not appropriation, but by, help me out, by ordinance. So that might come up in the future. And as we all know, we have done our financial disclosure reviews, and thank you, everyone. We have those finished. We'll have to meet sometime in the next few weeks to review any recently submitted financial disclosures. That's all I had as far as a summary. Did I miss anything from anyone? Oh, David, is that you? Voice.
It is not me. It's a facsimile.
All right.
The dog is real.
The
I gotta come
dog
in,
is
Tricia,
real.
on her
Okay. Well, it's a pleasure. Thank you, David. I'm glad you could get with us. David, as we all know, wrote the dismissal of the February allegation, and appreciate the good work on that, David.
My pleasure.
And Tricia, since you're with us, we are supposed to, by code, meet with you once a year to review what ethics training, what the state of ethics training is for new employees and officials in the city. Do you have any recommended changes?
As a point of order, Mr. Chairman, are we duty bound to have Tricia with us at a particular venue, or maybe next year when we're all vaccinated, we can meet in a bar for her briefing?
Well, next year, I hope that's the case.
I get my second dose tomorrow. So.
Excellent.
A few of us have already had our second doses, so it's wonderful. We're ready.
I've gotten 4. I wanted to be extra careful.
And
Of course,
did you
I've
kind of
grown a
mix up
third
the?
breast as one of the side effects, but aside from that, I'm feeling good.
I'm sure you had it at the veterinarian clinic, right?
I did. I go to my vet for everything.
But Tricia, is there anything that we should be aware of relative to the ethics training of employees and officials?
I don't think there's anything different from the last time I shared with you. I'm not sure if I had shared with you that we implemented something we call Employee Navigator, so that all of our onboarding can happen remotely, although we do in-person orientation, but we send everybody their documents ahead of time, so they always have them. Then it's readily available. It's not a matter of we share it with them and then we put it in their personnel file, so everybody will have access to those documents, which includes the ethics FAQs and acknowledgement. And then everybody that is separated from the city, whether it's through a retirement or it's, they've resigned, we do an exit package with them, which includes the ethics language that addresses their behaviors that they can and cannot engage in when they leave from the standpoint of what's in the ethics law. So that we have our bases covered that way. We haven't yet used Employee Navigator to push out communicate. Well, we have used it for pushing out all COVID communications. We do open enrollment using Employee Navigator, so that individuals that don't have city email addresses, they've signed up for their benefits with using their own personal email. And so when we were trying to push out essential communications around policies and work behaviors and training and all of that for COVID related emergency changes, we used Navigator for that. So we know we can do it, but we haven't gotten to the point where we can then verify that somebody's received it and read it. So we're working on that piece. If there are any changes that we wanted to put out that's related to the Ethics Commission, we could do that. And like I said, we already actually what we could probably do. I'm really thinking out loud here is if we need communications to go out related to your FAQs. I don't know if you were reviewing them, anything you want to make in terms of changes to it, edits to it, just let me know if that's the case, and we'll find a way to push that out to all employees.
I'm not aware of any changes to the
Okay.
FAQ paper,
Yeah.
but I think it's great that it's getting out to everyone who's coming
Yes,
to
we're doing
board.
our part.
Yeah, sounds
We
like
are.
you're doing a good job. Does anyone have any comment?
No?
Okay. Uh, Tricia, I'm really happy you could be with us, and we appreciate everything you're doing, and I'm sure there'll be many continuing changes as far as personnel.
You mean as far as city employees or?
Yes.
Well, our goal, thankfully, with the monies that are going to come to the city through the Recovery Act, we were looking at a pretty tough time ahead. That is going to help us tremendously, and we're grateful for that. We got a lot to kind of surf through here. It's quite a tide, but we're managing pretty well. We are trying to be very open and transparent with our employees and with our bargaining unit representatives, as we go through these tough times. So I feel like we're doing pretty good considering the odds again that are upon us all.
Well, it's been difficult, that's for sure.
Yeah, yeah. I will say we have whoop. Sorry, my dog's beside me and something started to excite him. Calm him down. But
Let him participate.
huh?
I'm sure he has something to say. Let him
He
participate.
usually does. I mean that this is a good intro to teleworking in my home. As I have a very loyal dog who recognizes voices when I'm on virtual meetings. And so anytime I'm talking to David Gerald, Carrie Berger, my regulars, he sits beside me like, who are we talking to today? So pull out the computer. He knows it's time to meet a few people.
Well, may everything go well, and we're glad you're healthy and on the job.
All right. Thank you all. Enjoy the rest of your meeting. Are you letting me kick off now?
Yes, you may.
Yes, you can go.
All right.
Thank you.
Take care, everyone.
Good seeing you, Trish.
You too. Bye-bye.
So the real reason we're meeting today is relative to if there are any needed or desired changes to any of our procedures or the financial disclosure forms. We've all gone through a lot of financial disclosure forms, and I think the only form that causes difficulty for people is Schedule 1. I don't know if there are any changes that we could make to make it any clearer for them or not, but
Isn't most of the stuff on Schedule 1 kind of mandated by the state, so we don't have a lot of leeway there?
yes, I'm very certain. I mean, they've asked questions that hardly make sense.
Yeah, it's that. I know that David is much closer to that, but I know he's kept us pretty close and narrow to the code that we're mandated to use.
Good idea to obey our law. When you're talking about the financial disclosure form, and I appreciate that, Kevin, the only clarification I could think of is in the property interest, and we may already do that, is make sure we make them aware that leases are included. People read it to think that it just includes ownership. And I think I may have returned 4 forms, and they're all for that reason.
But I do think, I mean, I guess there's a couple of forms that they don't do it, but I see there's more people who do it correctly than I mean, we get a stack this high and we only get like 4 or 5. So I
Yeah,
don't think it's that bad.
yeah. I mean, I'm not obsessed with having that change, I assure you, but it is. I think people just read it when they don't appreciate the nuance of what a property interest is.
Yes, that is true. I think we clarified that either a year or two ago as far as changing the language on the instructions and also the first page of the financial disclosure form, as well as the schedule. You know, I don't think we could be any clearer.
Yeah, well, I assure you, it's not an undue burden for me to have to send back 4 of those.
I
Didn't keep me
did
up
1
all
or
night.
2.
Well, the interesting thing was Carrie Berger had filled out the form and said no as far as owning or living in any property in Maryland. So we sent it back to her.
She lives in a Volkswagen bus.
Right, Vincent?
I thought it was like a controlled form to see if I was really paying attention or not.
She set you up.
Yeah, I thought it was a setup.
Is there
Again,
anything
I'm
else?
glad you're surviving session. At least it appears that way.
Hanging in there.
I tried to divide up the financial disclosures equally amongst the 5 of us, and it worked out pretty good. I think Regine got stuck with all of the FY 2020 or 2019 forms that came in late.
Yeah, I got one of those.
Oh, you did?
Yeah. And we also need to make sure that we, because, you know, our more forms should be coming in as more candidates get certified for the election.
Yes.
We should have gotten some already.
I'm aware of only 2 new forms that have come in.
Well, that's because there's only 2 new candidates. The other ones are incumbents. So.
And it was surprising to me the number of aldermen that had not provided financial disclosure forms. We only got them from 3 aldermen at this point, including the mayor. But 4 including the mayor.
What is the penalty for not submitting it on time?
A really nasty letter from us. And I do think that we need to be a bit, I know last year COVID was a very, very challenging for us at this time, but we should try to be a little more aggressive this year if we can.
Yes, the real emphasis we have is that we can summons them to appear before us.
Okay.
And you know what we can do it again by video conference. We can pick a meeting time in April, probably in May, and use that as a time for us to meet with any non-compliance.
Yep.
Any thoughts on that?
As long as we all have shots by May. Some of us are pretty far down the list.
Well, we don't need to meet with them in person.
Yeah.
Yes.
You know, okay.
We could do it by Zoom, could we not, Jim?
I would think so.
Yeah.
Shall I go for a date in mid-May, mid-April?
Okay.
Well, for the ones that are outstanding, yes.
That's too soon. Mid-May, I guess, is better.
Yeah.
Just looking at the calendar, May 9th, how about May 17th, a Monday, the 3rd Monday of May? Anyone object?
What time?
Can we do 5 o'clock again, or is that too early, too late?
That's fine.
Be fine.
Works for me.
Mhm.
Whatever the working folk want.
Okay, we'll do that. Is there anything else that we should discuss relative to financial disclosure and procedures? The procedures seem to be working well, my observation.
They work great when people go read them. Not us, the city and the citizens. So as long as we're pointing them to those, I think it's been very easy.
The next item on our agenda is the election of a chairperson and vice chair for 2021. Do we have any nominations?
I nominate Jim Dolzo to serve as chair.
Second.
Thank you. All accept. For vice chair.
Do we want to vote, Jim?
Well, we can vote on both at the same time.
Okay,
That's what I was thinking. Do I hear a nomination for vice chair?
I nominate Kevin for vice chair.
Second.
I will accept.
Thank you, Kevin. All in favor or any further discussion? Those in favor say aye for both the
Aye.
chair and vice chair.
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Approved. Is there any other business that should be before us that you'd like to raise? Otherwise, I think we've set a record as far as a short meeting.
Yep.
Is there a motion to adjourn?
Motion.
Second.
Discussion? Those in favor?
Aye.
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 We will adjourn at 5:25 PM.